Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, a series where we discover and celebrate various anime through their lovely ladies. In this episode, we'll be going over one of my all-time favorite shows, Amagi Brilliant Park. It's a hilarious and high-profile series KyoAni adapted from a light novel written by Shoji Gato, the creator of Full Metal Panic. I was just gonna focus on the anime, as it's nice and short, but I must be some kind of masochist. To make this video that much better, I decided to buy all 8 volumes of the light novel and extract from them tons of extra facts and details the anime leaves out. If you've already seen the show, you may just learn a thing or two about your favorite girls. Heck, it might just encourage you to read the light novels for yourselves, as they're fully translated, and take the story even further. There's even a ridiculous section where a Mickey Mouse parody, Maki, flaunts his popularity and tries to get Disney, or rather Digimaland, to buy out the park. That said, I'm really disappointed by the direction the novel goes in, as well as the fact that we may never see more of it. The damn thing ends on a cliffhanger, and Gato's been promising another volume since 2016. For now, though, let's savor the best parts of this story, supplementing the anime's genius direction with added details. Before we get started, consider buying this dai-chan dakimakura from Cuddly Octopus. Celebrate your fandom with your very own hug pillow. I'd love to drop you a direct link, but it's too spicy for YouTube. Luckily, it's just a simple Google search away. Without further ado, let's shine a spotlight on some waifu. Amagi Brilliant Park is a theme park run by literal fairies from the magical realm of Maple Land. It became famous during Japan's bubble economy in the 1980s. Since the bubble burst, though, the park has gradually fallen further and further into decline. This is bad, because Amaburi's true purpose is as a dream augur for happiness, or animus, which is used by magical fairies as a vital resource to survive. As it stands, the park can barely sustain its own employees, let alone export that animus to the rest of Maple Land. Thus, a prophecy has led Maple Land's princess, Latifa, to recruit a former child star named Kanae Tsuchida. He reluctantly takes over running the park, tasked with building its visitor count by the end of the season. Should he fail, the park's employees will be cut off from their energy source, and could even die, as other parks likely won't hire them given Amaburi's bad reputation. Having been an entertainer himself, Kanae geniusly turns the park into something truly wonderful through renovations and profound interactions with its cast members. As far as waifu go, let's start with Latifa Fleuranza, first princess of the Maple Land royal family. She's a descendant of Maple Land's founder, Slim, the priestess of revelation. Fittingly, it was Latifa's prophecy that had the park recruit Kanae, though the other cast members are hesitant to accept his aid. Latifa's a fairy who happens to have a humanoid form. Others, like the park's mascots, genuinely look like magical creatures. It's actually something fairies can choose around puberty. Moful, for instance, looks like a plush creature, but is actually Latifa's uncle. He held an unrequited love for his sister, and was devastated when she married Maple Land's king, having the audacity to ask him to look after her daughter. Still, out of devotion, Moful does everything he can to protect Latifa. She lives at the park's center in Maple Castle. It's less a fairy tale castle, and more of a legit fortress meant to keep her safe. When the idea gets brought up, Latifa is excited to participate in a parade, getting the chance to wave at all the park's guests like a Disney princess. Oh, excuse me, I mean Digimaland princess. Too bad the only float Moful will let her on is a reinforced tank that blocks everyone's view. In the original novel, Latifa is blind, but that doesn't seem to be the case for the anime. Formally, Latifa is Amaburi's manager, though she often stays secluded to her rooftop garden, which she diligently cares for. Members of the royal family can bestow magic onto mortal humans via a kiss. To help Kanae believe the existence of fairies, she gives him the power to read people's minds, though he can only use it once per person. For as much as Latifa relies on Kanae, she feels bad having to place such a large burden on him. Compassion is her most defining trait after all, and she truly loves Amaburi. In fact, her favorite attractions happen to be the old Ferris wheel and merry-go-round, the latter of which has been around since the 70s, doesn't draw in guests, and is in severe need of renovation. Still, the very thought of scrapping it saddens her. At the heart of Amaburi's charm are her handmade croquettes, which are the one aspect Kanae actually enjoys on his first visit to the park. The cast members often assume Latifa is too frail to contribute much, but making these croquettes takes a ton of time and skill. Latifa is weak due to a curse put upon her by a vengeful magician, whom the king, her father, promised could marry her in exchange for slaying a terrible dragon. Even though the magician succeeded, the king broke his promise, and so the magician took it out on Latifa herself. This curse requires her to consume higher amounts of animus to survive, and so she was sent to Amaburi to directly siphon its guests' joy. While this has kept her alive, the curse also resets her physical and mental development every year, preventing her body from aging and blocking her retention of new memories. Year after year, she forgets those dearest to her and must rebuild their bonds from scratch. This means she's actually 10 years older than she should be, or rather, she hasn't been allowed to age for that long. She's also forgotten her first meeting with Kanae as children, when he vowed to save her. Due to all of this, she's at the greatest risk if the park shuts down, and despite that, she remains hopeful and optimistic. Sometimes, though, she gets discouraged hearing about things she did in earlier cycles. There's a disconnect between the girl she is now and the one she was in years prior. Isuzu Sento, true name Isuzu Sento Lucia, is an elite member of the Maple Land Royal Guard. She was born to a long line of Maple Land soldiers and spent her life undergoing grueling training so she could protect the royal family. Her grandfather, Representative Isuzu, is an influential figure in the Maple Land Senate. Isuzu was dispatched to Amaburi to serve as Latifa's advisor and executor. Unfortunately, her talent as a soldier doesn't translate to management. She tried to solve all of the park's problems with oppressive force, further dragging everyone down. She wields a magical musket, Steinberger, which was handed down in her family for generations. As a magical weapon, it is merged with her body and mind, allowing it to be drawn from any exposed skin. It's most efficient to pull out from her thighs, making it look like it's hidden beneath her skirt. The gun fires various bullets, such as Painbringer, which doesn't kill, but inflicts as much pain as stubbing one's pinky toe. Her bullets, Forgotten Realm, can erase people's memories, which helps during what could otherwise be a PR disaster. Perhaps most dangerous are her Paradise Lost bullets, which can incapacitate a man's reproductive functions. Steinberger actually has about 50 copies that get passed down too, so Isuzu can dual-wield when necessary. Kanae knows little about magical realms, but it's clear that Isuzu has faith in the goddess Libra, whom she believes controls destiny. Maple Land in particular is polytheistic. In contrast to a rugged military upbringing, she's hyper-fixated on hygiene, aiming to take at least 3 baths a day, or she'll start feeling dirty. Apparently, this is because her family line has Kappa blood in it. She's forcibly transformed at one point in the novel, revealing that her fairy side is a pink Kappa. As such, she feels very comfortable relaxing in a public bath with a wet towel on her head. Most of the time, though, she bathes at home, in Amaburi's employee dorm. It's also no surprise that her favorite food is cucumber, which she wants to put on everything else she eats. Generally, Isuzu's so used to maintaining a calm demeanor that she struggles expressing her emotions, to the point where she practices smiling and crying in front of a mirror. In order to lure Kanae to Amaburi, she infiltrates Amagi High School as one of its students. It may not be her highest priority, but having left Maple Land, Latifa still wants Isuzu to graduate somehow. When Kanae takes over her duties at the park, she becomes his secretary, or secretarial department head. Watching him actually improve the park makes her feel inadequate and pathetic, but in truth, she just has different strengths than he does. When Amaburi is on the verge of flooding, she steps up to lead the cast in preventing damage. While she's naive to social nuance, she's very adept at commanding others during a crisis. After she realizes her strengths, she notices herself falling in love with Kanae. She starts seeing other girls as romantic rivals and tries to make herself more useful. This doesn't really go anywhere in the anime, but in the novel, she and Kanae visit a love hotel, kiss, but then get cock-blocked by Latifa. We still don't know where that love triangle goes. Either way, Isuzu's such a fun and sexy character. Surely one of my certified favorites. She's especially adorable when flustered or embarrassed. Muse is a water fairy who dances at Amaburi. Her musical act, Aquario, takes place on Sorcerer's Hill. That was the attraction's original name, but now that she has 3 other partners, the troupe has been named Elementario. While the group's sexy outfits feature fairy wings, they're purely cosmetic. In fact, Muse's magic is limited to charming party tricks, just like a certain useless goddess we all know and love. There's very little separating her from a normal human. This is common in her family, though her little brother chooses to embrace his fairy form. Muse and her other elemental fairies hail not from Mapleland, but rather its ally, the Elementium Republic. Her parents are lords of a lake in the mortal world and want Muse to help with the family business. Instead, she wanted to be a ballerina. Even when her instructor told her she doesn't have what it takes, she continued to pursue a career in dancing. She started out as a background dancer at Highlander Fujimi, a rival theme park, but she gets a lot more fame at Amaburi. She's embarrassed about living in a boarding house owned by a proctologist. She swears up and down she's not a patient. At work, Muse is a young professional who does her job well, even though it entails dealing with perverted guests who try to flirt with her. This is only escalated after Kanae uploads a promo video of the girls in bikinis. So based. Needless to say, Elementario is a popular attraction for husbands, fathers, and old leches. Apparently, their costumes were supposed to be worn with full-body tights, but now there's no going back, since fans have fallen for their current design. Praise Libra for that. At first, the attraction struggles to find a broader audience, mainly because the Elementario girls aren't in sync. For instance, Muse is the group's leader, but often feuds with Salama, her polar opposite in terms of element and personality. Luckily, the girls learn they can compensate for each other's weaknesses. The more these girls work together, the more they become inseparable friends. While I adore all the members of Elementario, Muse is just the best. Another certified favorite. Her upbeat personality, color scheme, and attractive design all work in perfect cohesion. It doesn't amount to much, but she has a crush on Kanae and is seemingly jealous of Isuzu's relationship with him. Compared to Latifa and Isuzu, Muse doesn't think she stands a chance. They're nobility, while her background is more humble, though in my opinion, she's actually out of everyone else's league. Salama is Muse's co-star in Elementario. She's the Fairy of Fire, and while this does let her conjure a small torch from her finger, she's better known for her online flame wars. Those same fingers frequently type away at her phone, posting scandals on Twitter to provoke extreme reactions. This has been both beneficial and detrimental to the park, with her tweets shining a light on Amaburi's inner workings. This nearly got her fired in the past. Luckily, she trusts Kanae enough to heed his judgment before posting about park drama. Salama lives in a second-story apartment 10 minutes from Amagi Station. Ironically, it burns down in a fire started by the ramen joint below, forcing her to live with the other girls for a while. Even as her home burns to a crisp, she covers the event through entertaining Twitter posts. It's just how she expresses herself. Deep down, she's sad, attention-starved, and desperate. For as much as she sees Muse as a goody two-shoes, Salama actually likes her, and shows it subversively through teasing. Unable to admit it in person, she wishes the two of them could be best friends. After all, she's self-conscious about her lack of friends, acknowledging how off-putting she can be. Salama's definitely a high-maintenance waifu, but she's got this nice tsundere element that makes me want to mark her a certified favorite. Fire's my favorite element in fantasy, too. Sylphy is Elementario's Fairy of Wind. Her role in the team is cemented by her amazing dance skills, which is great since she's an odd one. she's almost always spouting something incomprehensible in another language. Whenever the girls meet up to discuss important matters, Sylphy can be found goofing around like an adorable spaz. Ironically, this wind spirit can't seem to read the atmosphere around her. It's not that she's entirely absent in these situations, but rather, she communicates in out-of-the-box ways. She's deceptively intelligent and multi-talented. She's legit multilingual and enjoys challenging herself in strange ways, such as stacking thousands of dominoes throughout her apartment and sleeping above them in a hammock. Technically, Sylphy rents out 6 apartments on the same floor, having some undisclosed arrangement with her landlord. In her time off, she's an internet celebrity who draws in millions of views on her videos, which range from dances to product reviews. One such product, Palpon Next Superjet, is a spray that she tests on her coworkers. It forces them to break out in silly dances before crashing with depression. Of course, Sylphy's so naturally excited that it doesn't have any effect on her. She can sometimes be seen editing her videos backstage in her underwear. If only more of her viewers translated to park visitors. Sylphy isn't a fan of conflict either, and will randomly try to de-escalate situations by handing people random snacks. She's also recruited to teach the park's other performers how to dance, though following her instructions can be like solving a damn riddle. Last among Elementario is Kobory, the Earth Fairy. She's an introvert who took her job at Amaburi to overcome her shyness. Generally, she's an easygoing girl who tries to act as the voice of reason within her team. While she can sing, she's a clumsy dancer, often falling over during performances. Her magic isn't as apparent as the other elements either. To a minor extent, she can cause organic materials to rot. This can expedite the expiration date of some foods, but seems to be most effective rotting leaves. This is fitting because she's a rotten girl, or fujoshi, an avid otaku of boys' love and shipping culture. She fawns over hot guys and fantasizes them in gay relationships, imagining who's a top or bottom. In that capacity, she's willing to tolerate the revealing girls in Amaburi so long as she gets her own helping of scantily clad guys. This leads her and the other girls to kidnap Mofo, Tirami, and Macaron so they can lust over their human forms, which are surprisingly hot. In her free time, Kobory illustrates doujinshi with her art group, which often involves strict deadlines that keep her up at night. She more than makes up for this by secretly helping the other cast members with their jobs. Her design skills and technical know-how enable her to fix broken tech, edit videos, and manage social media campaigns. She dreams of being an editor for anime, but realizes she's much happier treating it as a hobby. Kobory has a big family that runs an onsen in a hot springs town. They want her to move back home and find a husband, but as an otaku, Kobory can't stand being away from the city and the internet. I definitely understand that. Ashe Am Archamrel is the head of Amaburi's accounting department. She shows concern with Kanie's bold decisions, such as a 30 yen price campaign meant to drive in visitors. Despite the park hemorrhaging money, she has to keep her cool, acknowledging that their main goal is to fulfill their guest quota before they can worry about profits. This has her helping the park in other ways, such as putting makeup on their dragon rubrum, while looking for every opportunity to offset their expenses. Ashe is another fairy from outside Maple Land who took a job at the park. Specifically, she was Minister of Finance for the Schubert Empire, a different magical realm. After being sick and tired of trying to climb the corporate ladder, she quit for a more humble position at Amaburi. Despite graduating from a women's college, she can certainly handle herself when socializing with her male colleagues. In the novel, she has pointed ears and a horn, but in the anime, she looks like an ordinary woman in her 20s. This makes it easy for her to blend in with mortals and enjoy her passion, extreme ironing, a bizarre sport where she and her teammates iron clothes in extreme ways. When she first joined Amaburi, she was one of Tirami's many harassment targets, though he's learned to back off after she tried to annihilate him. Ashe is one of the park's secret heroes, keeping the park afloat while negotiating the economic chaos between magical and mortal realms. When Kanae deems the park needs more staff, he and Isuzu conduct a series of interviews. The girls he hires play a major role in the light novels, even forming an idol unit, Task Force ABC, to sell merch and CDs. Isuzu fears that Kanae will use them to replace her, but it turns out to just be a morbid dream. Speaking of morbid, the first of these three I want to talk about is Biino Bandou, a high schooler from the next town over who seems to embody danger and misfortune. She arrives at her interview with a bleeding wound in her side. Turns out that her psycho brother, who didn't want her to get a new job, stabbed her on park grounds. Even so, she carries on the interview with blood trailing from her determined smile. They hire her for her dedication, only to realize she attracts accidents and is prone to injury. All of her previous jobs have fired her for this, and it's gotten so bad that she can't pay rent to her toxic landlord to support her ailing father. After consulting with a Maple Land doctor, Kanae and the others discover she's cursed by a specter that feeds off her suffering. They perform an exorcism that restores sanity to her life, but it turns out she's also just accident-prone by nature. Eiko Adachi is another new hire, a college student with a motherly aura. Her resume lists that she used to work as an actress in AV productions. This has the staff believing her to have starred in adult videos, but in truth, she's enamored by animals and narrated in nature documentaries or animal videos. She's quite the airhead for not noticing this discrepancy, and yet she has an intuitive ability to understand the fairies of Maple Land that otherwise just grunt or make cute noises. Regardless, she's a natural at entertaining guests, having previously worked with a talent agency named Quattro Productions. She quit that industry after her father took issue with it. You see, her family owns Amagi Hospital and is filthy rich. Her strict dad, unaware of his own tyranny, puts a lot of pressure on Eiko, even arranging a marriage between her and another influential suitor. While Eiko wants to help the park, she worries her family drama may cause problems, especially when Macaron gets in trouble for protecting her from her douchebag fiancé. The third in this trio is Shiina Chujou, a student at Amagi High School who is often mistaken for a child. This contributes to her social anxiety, which causes her to stutter and mumble when nervous. She was hoping high school would break her out of her shell, but when that doesn't happen, she applies to Amaburi to gain social experience along with a paycheck. At first, the job proves too difficult and she wants to quit. Her favorite mascot, Moful, whom she snuggled with a plushie of at night, turns out to be a gruff military veteran. Luckily though, Moful and his boot camp style of teaching actually helps her articulate herself. Moful discovers that, when having a bad day, Shiina will seclude herself at a karaoke joint to sing anime and Vocaloid songs. Turns out, she's a remarkable singer, and this comes in handy when the cast needs to stall time for an upcoming show. Her father was a firefighter who died in the line of duty. Moful used to drink with her dad, and he uses her employment as a chance to pay forward their good times together. After she saves the park, Kanae tries to have her record CDs, but she refuses unless the other girls join her, hence the idol group. Now, whenever she gets nervous, she imagines singing for her late father, which helps ease her tension. When Kanae quit being a child actor, his parents berated and abused him. Escaping that toxic home life, he now stays with his aunt, Aisu Kyuubu. He regards her as more of an older sister, as he used to ride bikes with her as a child. Now, Aisu's an attractive 26-year-old who works long hours as an editor at a publishing company, mainly dealing with mahjong manga magazines. What little time she has for leisure is spent smoking and drinking. When she's really busy, Kanae can only tell she's still alive by her rising pile of laundry and depleting stock of beer. That said, the two still see each other enough for her to notice how working at Amaburi has brought Kanae happiness. Beyond that, she's glad he's making friends and getting along with other girls. Though Kanae is very handsome, his arrogance is often a deterrent. One of his classmates, Kanae Tsuchida, accidentally puts a love letter meant for another boy in his locker. During a time when Isuzu is masquerading as Kanae, she meets with Tsuchida and takes the mix-up cordially. Not expecting him to be so understanding, Tsuchida actually starts falling for him over Kimura, the boy she was originally trying to confess to. This love triangle spirals out of control as Tirami, Macaron, and Moful also take turns disguised as Kanae. Her emotions are toyed with by the various actors, forcing the real Kanae to step in and resolve their drama. Tsuchida's a kind, albeit indecisive girl, who ends up being a platonic friend of Kanae's. Within Tsuchida's gang of friends is Mutsumi Terano. She's effectively the leader of her circle, and unites the girls in confronting Kanae for his inappropriate conduct with Tsuchida. She's got a foul attitude, but would be generally reasonable in a less complicated situation. Whether she's trying to stand up for Tsuchida or use her predicament to assert dominance, she ultimately cools down, even helping Kanae save the park at the last second. Macaron, Tirami, and Moful are regulars at a yakitori bar named Savage. It's been in business for over 20 years, but like Amaburi, is on the verge of shutting down. These mascots are very familiar with one of its part-time waitresses, Takami Seno. Tirami in particular bombards her with inappropriate advances that she scolds him over. Obviously, if Savage closes down, she'll be out of a job. Fortunately, she's about to graduate college and start working in public service. Her little brother is a huge fan of Moful's House of Sweets, a shoot-'em-up attraction, but feels betrayed when its rules change to cut down on wait times. Even though Kanae tries to avoid his mom and dad, he still maintains a relationship with his stepsister, Saki Kyuubu. They got along great as kids, but have a hard time meeting up now that Kanae lives with his aunt and is basically married to his job. Sadly, Saki has no visual in the light novel, and doesn't appear in the anime either. The time she meets with Kanae in the story, she helps him realize Amaburi has helped him forget his family troubles. She also admires Aisu as an independent woman. Macaron, the fairy of music, is a woolly sheep mascot who grew up in one of Maple Land's most violent schools. He's a tough guy who puts on a happy face when dealing with the park's children. Dude had a wife, but given they're divorced now, he's been trying to clean up his act for visitation with his daughter, Lalapaa. Eventually, he catches a break, and Lalapaa heads to Amaburi to see him. Too bad it's the worst day possible, as Macaron needs to entertain Eiko Adachi's father, who's convinced he's been sleeping with Eiko. This nearly ruins Lalapaa's visit, convincing her to leave thinking Macaron doesn't care about her. Compared to her infancy, Lalapaa has grown into more of a rebellious youth, but is taken aback by her dad's extreme passion for music. He plays his heart out on stage, making her proud. It's an adorable development for a character who's usually just there for comic relief. Those right there are 16 waifu from Amagi Brilliant Park. As I said before, the light novel does add a lot of fun stuff, but I'll caution you about reading it for yourself. It very much spoils the lighthearted fun the anime nails so perfectly. By turning up the heat, or the drama, I feel Gato has actually burned the sugar that made it so sweet. Unsurprisingly, he kinda did the same thing to Full Metal Panic, though at least the FMP novels have an ending. We may or may not ever get the same for Amaburi. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Waifu Files. Please check out the full Waifu Files playlist for more exciting content. Be sure to let me know in the comments which anime you'd like to see in future videos. Catch you later!
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Zamas Autonomous, Yuki Eidos, Scout, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Tristan Riggin, Major, Mei Fumato, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Jonathan Padua, Kengo X77, Hersha of E-Rated Hands, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.